So here we are, lining up for 15 laps of Red Bull MotoGP Rookies Cup action. The KTM RC 250Rs, we've got 21 of them on the grid this afternoon. They're under starters orders. Beautiful clear blue sky. And the lights go out. All the front 5 or 6 get rolling well. And I think it probably is the pole position Marcos Uriarte who has the advantage into the first corner. It's always a good question here whether they all get round safely. Someone's off on the curb, but it looks as though hopefully they all got through the left and right-hander and start the climbing process away from the start and finish line here at Motorland Aragon. Yes, it is the 89 of Marcos Uriarte who has the advantage, chased by... Is it Billy Van Aert who's come forward?
Billy Van Aert or Alex Escrig, who also qualified. Alex Escrig qualified third position.
You're right, yeah. Alex Escrig on the number 11. He's picked up, he's up there in third place behind Salvador. So the front row guys, Uriarte, Escrig, then Noguchi, Aggi, Fellon. In fact, Fellon had a good launch from the third row of the grid. But Uriarte looks good up there.
He certainly does. And David Salvador slotted into second position there, and you can see that yeah, you can see that gap appearing. He really needs to be onto the back of Uriarte as they get onto the back straight. We see he's yeah, in front of their number 56. That is Haruki Noguchi, the Japanese rider. But
I was just saying that no one clears off, and Uriarte has now stolen about a 4 or 5 bike lengths lead, and of course that probably is enough to deny the other guys the slipstream. A very useful advantage to have on the opening lap.
It is, but we've seen this before at Aragon. That gap is certainly bridgeable with the guys behind, and you'll see at the end of the back straight. Oh, they got number 28 there. That's gone down. That is Matteo Bertelli.
The Italian, our lone Italian. Great shame, because he's really coming on form at the end of the year. He had a good run in Italy, and tragedy for him, but he's obviously okay walking away from that. Uriarte has the advantage. Noguchi is 56, but 38 is right there. David Salvador, the usual suspects from the last couple of races. Great stuff out onto the start and finish to complete lap 1. Uriarte, that gap is dwindling already, but he's still got 4 or 5 bike lengths lead. Very useful. Uriarte, Salvador, Noguchi, Aggi, Fellon, Baltus Escrig. Baltus up into 6th place. Good for him. And you're on board with the Japanese Noguchi. You turn right and start the climb. Good to see Baltus having a good start there and getting in amongst it. Aggi, excellent to see the young Indonesian learning from what happened in Misano, whereas he didn't make the 5th place qualifying payoff in the race.
Yeah, he certainly acquitted himself well, considering he lost out on a lot of races at the beginning of the season. Great clean start from everyone, and a great clean first lap for everyone. And David Salvador definitely got his head down. He has closed that gap to Uriarte.
There is number 7 of Barry Baltus, the 56 of Noguchi in 4th place. And that lead of Uriarte is dwindling, but he's still got just about 3 or 4 bikes. And Salvador got his head down, tucking in 34. Aggi looking really good in 3rd place at the moment. Yeah. That's the 37 of Pedro Acosta, came back from 9th place. Came off 9th place off the grid, and he was 9th at the end of lap 1.
Marcos Uriarte has now been caught, so yeah, we'll see some shuffling on the back straight this lap. Great work there from number 38, David Salvador, in the first couple of laps of the first lap and a half.
I wonder if Acosta's really playing it cool, because he's still back in 9th place there. He made the move towards the front of the pack quite a bit quicker in Misano, but perhaps he's just super confident and is going to play it cool. We'll see.
I'm just wondering if Uriarte has got slightly different gearing, because he got a nice jump on the opposition there coming onto the back straight. It seemed like he had good revs, he had good power, and maybe a lower gear, and he certainly got a good punch on there.
Right, out onto the start and finish to complete lap 2. It is still Uriarte from Noguchi, Salvador across the line together. Baltus, Aggi back to 5th ahead of Fellon Escrig. Van der Gerberg is there as well.
Mario Aggi there just coming across on the brakes, just slipping across the left-hand side of the head into turn 1. Bit of a it's a tricky corner turn one, because it actually does turn back in itself, and then it opens up through turn 3 and turn 4 as they head up the hill.
And Acosta got the fastest lap of the race so far there. He's still back there in 9th place, but you can see he's part of that lead group. He's done all the work he needs to do just at the moment, as long as nobody makes a break out in front, and he's perhaps just going to play it easy for a couple of laps, not get too excited about things. 56 is Noguchi in 5th place, ahead of Aji.
And that fastest lap on lap 2, already 4/10 faster than pole position, so guys really getting into the stride now.
Yeah, good point there, Neil, as you said, just how much there was yet to give, really, after qualifying. So you're on board again with Haruki Noguchi. Superb images, just shows you how intense the action is. And 38 is David Salvador. He's taken up the running from Uriarte.
And although Carlos Tatai is out of the series now, there's still everything to play for. Mathematically, there's still 6 riders that can finish 2nd in the championship, and they'll all be thinking about that. There's 50 points left here. David Salvador, Lorenzo Fellon is actually on 93 points, so mathematically still a chance to finish 2nd in the championship. So they really, they know anything can happen. Uriarte getting back to the front, just passing Salvador.
And Fellon, as you say, you pointed him out, he's in 3rd place at the moment on the number 5 machine. Boltus on 7, just behind Noguchi. And Boltus really is owed a good result here. You know, he started the year battling for the win in Jerez, and okay, he got a 3rd there, and he got a 3rd midway through the season, but he's had a couple of falls and missed the races at the Sachsenring. Up the inside on number 11. Wow, that great stuff from Alex Escrigue. He was, I don't know where he ended up actually going into the corner. He looked as though he wanted to jump past everybody, but he was a bit closed in when it came to it.
Yeah, a bit optimistic. And also Pedro Acosta, who is the master of qualifying 9th and then immediately running at the front. He was having a look down the inside as well. Came across the line in 7th, but I'm not sure where he ended up after the reshuffle through.
Well, you're on board now with Pedro, looking back
at Aji.
Yeah, and then Escrigue on number 11, Aji on 34. And so a wide variety of lines here, Neil. Is that, you know, because of the nature of the racetrack, or are these guys being just a bit loose?
No, it's the nature of the racetrack, and particularly in the smaller classes, there is some space out there, and different lines work for different reasons. You can turn things tight, keep the bike on the edge of the tyres, and keep the gearing low so you can accelerate off the corners, but there is plenty of space. And of course there's the curves that you can use. You have to stay off that green concrete or you will be penalised if you go on there too often. I think 5 times, and you will be given a penalty, so the guys have to watch for exceeding track limits. Quite close there. That is Fellon number 5 getting past as they head over the start finish, and that was Haruki Noguchi squeezing past them.
Back live now, and it still is Uriarte from Noguchi from Boltus. Then the 38 is Salvador. Down that back straight, all just hunting for the slipstream. And Uriarte again, he's just got away very, very slightly. And as Neil said, maybe it's just a question of exactly what gearing he's running. And that's interesting, because, of course, if he can do that, you know, at the end of the race, he's going to be a hard man to beat.
You certainly can, yeah. If you can, get down that back straight and get over the line in front, then you're certainly doing something right. And he just had enough of a gap, and they couldn't really close it. So, yeah, looking particularly impressive. Yeah, Barry Baltus, one of the bigger riders. He's coming on leaps and bounds from last year, the Belgian rider. Really has put a good season together. Been a bit unlucky, had a couple of crashes, but one of the bigger riders. So he definitely needs to be in the slipstream when they come to the faster parts of the racetrack.
And interesting to see Billy van Aert get up into 9th place ahead of Zonta van der Geurberg. Max Cook 11th. And really nothing, you know, it's, you know, only a few seconds covering the first 10. 1.7 seconds, in fact.
1.7 seconds, so that really is still anybody's.
And Uriarte's still with that advantage, Neil. And you know, but it's now Boltus. I think
Boltus second.
Yeah, who's got up into 2nd place. That's what he can see he can do. Because I think if Noguchi could have closed the gap, he would have done. Noguchi's not the guy just to to fool around.
No, not at all. Well, I would bet my house if Baltus comes onto the back straight first, he's definitely not going to be in front as they head over the line, because he is one of the bigger and heavier riders and the perfect target for a slipstream.
Yeah, and let's just watch, talk us through this, Neil, these next few corners and the straight.
Yeah.
Because with Uriarte with the advantage, can they close in on it?
Yeah, not impossible. So that's turn 13 and 14, the two right-handers, and then they go left. Oh, I've got another follower there. Mariev. So, the Russian rider number 88, he's gone down. Can't see where he was on our screen. Yeah, 16th, so hovering on the points there. So that's too bad. He might have been on for a point this weekend.
And as you say, Neil, Baltus came onto the straight leading that group, but now has been passed.
Well, I did nothing wrong. Yeah, he was
and fell on.
Yeah, he was perfectly fine through 14 and 15, got tucked in as best he could, and then, as I said, he's just a target for the guys behind. And then we got number 56, Haruki Noguchi, who has got to be a contender for winning this race. He just needs to focus now, and if the guys behind them were sensible, I'm pretty sure Noguchi could bridge that gap, but in rookies you pass or be passed, so it's not really what they're thinking about. They're just fighting for their own position.
And Uriarte with a half a second lead actually going on at the end of lap 5 there. Adji now has the fastest lap of the race, but he's in 7th place.
Yeah, lap time still coming down. He's 202.796, fair bit off the fastest ever lap, which was a 201.441. That was Javi Artigas back in 2018.
Right, and it's still all mixing and changing there, because now it's Noguchi again that's taken up the running. Baltus has in fact dropped back quite a few places, so it's Noguchi fell on Acosta, who are now trying to chase after Uriarte with that half a second lead. And he's carried that half a second lead all the way through the sections.
Yeah, and same at the second sector, exactly half a second. He hasn't gained anything, he hasn't lost anything, but very important he can focus on Uriarte.
Oh, and they've got another faller there, just trying to pick up the number. Obviously not seriously hurt, but I think the airbag's gone off. And
Zonta.
Yeah.
Zonta. Oh, it's too bad. Zonta having a great ride there. Was intense, so looking good for a top 10 position, and yeah, he carried a foot injury from Mazzano. His right foot was hurting, so he was struggling a bit with the rear brake, but I thought he did a great job in qualifying, getting himself up there in qualifying. He qualified in 8th position, so he was looking certainly good for a strong top 10 result.
So out onto the start and finish to complete lap 6 then. Is it still half a second advantage for Uriarte? He carried it pretty much all the way through. It's down to 3.35, so 3.5 tenths. He's lost a tenth and a half. That has dwindled. Let's see if he can build it up again, because he's being chased by Noguchi. Acosta fell on Baltus and Salvador. Acosta up into 3rd place. I think that's the highest he's been so far in this race.
Yeah, plenty of time, and with Van der Gerberg out, the top 9 are even closer, 1.3 seconds covering the top 9, and that is absolutely nothing with 9 laps to go.
Right, so Uriarte 0.35, 0.39 at the second split, so he just got away from them very slightly. It's Noguchi that's chasing him, and Acosta. Baltus is still in there again in 4th place.
Yeah, that's not, if he can stay there, that's not a bad position to be in. He's got a few laps to go yet, but that would be a good position for him on the last lap. He certainly doesn't want to be leading a bunch. He needs to be slipstreaming on the back straight. Lap time's all stabilised in the 203 bracket.
And interesting to see now, as I say, there's Acosta's, he took his time, he played it really cool, but he's now come through. They're closing in on Uriarte.
And Uriarte there, you can see how hard he was trying. A little bit lacking side grip there as he headed through that right-hander, left-hander turn 12 into 13, and then again onto the back straight. So Uriarte is pushing hard.
And Acosta, you're on board with him now up into 2nd place, being chased by Noguchi. He's up into the 2nd place. He's got his eyes set on Uriarte. And I think he's just feeling very cool and comfortable at the moment. Here's Acosta, and in fact, he's gone down the inside and into the lead. Yes, he picked up the slipstream of Uriarte towards the end of the main back straight there. Absolutely perfectly timed it and slashed past him up the inside into the lead. But Uriarte's coming back at him across the line to complete lap 7. Just coming up towards half distance, but now it's all on with Acosta leading Uriarte.
Yeah, first time for Acosta leading this time, and Uriarte now will show us if he does have anything left. Maximum use of the gearbox through here. His little bike's got 6 gears, and they're really up and down the gears all the way through. There's a head up here to, that's up to turn 9, back to 2nd gear. Come out of turn 9, back on the throttle early, using all the curbing a little bit more. 3rd, 4th gear, then back another couple of gears into the right-hander of turn 7. And then they head up this short straight up to the right-hander, which plunges them down into the corkscrew, which is a very severe downhill right-left corner, and the left-hander turn 9 that opens up onto the back straight, and they're going to use every inch of the track, keeping the bike leaned over. And just looking at a bit of a replay here, number 89, that is Uriarte in front, and Pedro Acosta just making the move there, down the inside, nice and clean. Perfectly timed.
Now the fact that Acosta did, when he got to the front, he took the lead like that. He didn't hang around behind Uriarte. Do you think he believes he can make a break for it, Neil? Perhaps.
Definitely, they all believe that. There's no lack of self-belief in any of these guys. That is always the plan: get to the front. And the dream scenario is just get your head down, keep your eye on your pit board, and hope to see a gap appear. But it's very difficult, and this section of the track makes it very difficult. Almost 3/4 of a kilometre is the length of this back straight, so it's very difficult to break away.
So Acosta has the advantage. Noguchi has his slipstream, looks up the inside but thinks better off it. 89 Uriarte is there, but he's a bit wide, and in fact he goes very wide, loses about 4 places there. Complete mess up from Uriarte, because it's Salvador and Baltus and Van Aert who go past him, and Uriarte crosses the line back in 7th place. Went from leading the race to 7th. That's how quickly things change in rookies. Oh, and a number of fallers
2
there.
riders, yeah. Is that coming onto the back straight? That looks like turn 15, which is...
the 40-45 machine of Clement Rouge. Clement Rouge is a faller. And the other faller we'll get for you as soon as we possibly can. He was obviously receiving some medical attention. Maybe Dupasquier, I think, perhaps.
Yeah. Lorenzo Felon leading, number 5. Nice to see that. He's done a great job there.
And he was one of the guys who did the qualifying on his own, Neil.
All right, yes. So, yeah, I mean, good practice just in case you do end up on your own in the race. You're not relying on that slipstream for your lap time.
And that's Rouge being helped off.
Yeah, just, yeah.
And I think it's Dupasquier that went down first.
Yeah.
And took Rouge.
Rouge was the innocent victim
of that, and it's obviously...
Oh, that's too bad. I missed the other rider that ran off there as well, so that must be... Oh, it's one of the guys right at the back.
Yeah. Anyway, back with the leaders then, and it is, I think it's Felon who's made a bit of a break. He's actually gone out of picture already, has he? No.
No.
It's
yeah, Pedro Acosta
back in front.
The reshuffle while we were watching that replay.
He's gone back to 5th. That's how quickly things are changing. We went for the replay and Felon was in front, and he's now back to 5th place. So that's just how fast things are changing. It's Pedro Acosta in front. Noguchi there, you can see on 56. Uriarte's there. 5 is Felon.
Oh, that's rider clipped another rider there. Oh gosh, that's so unusual. I'm not sure what happened there, but
is that Baltus? No, can't see. Anyway, it's Acosta that crosses the line. Obviously, he picked himself up, so that was a nice one. You say the guys clipped each other there just on the brakes.
Salvador. Was it Salvador?
38, yes, it's David Salvador. That is such bad luck for him. He has had some rotten luck. He had a brilliant ride in Misano. He's had finished 2nd twice, but just unlucky there. And Barry Baltus, yes, it was Baltus, the other one. I thought it was him. Yes, so it's Baltus and Salvador. I think they've touched each other before. I'm not sure anyway. But a total disaster for the pair of them. And back with the leaders then. It is 89, Marcus Ariati again in front. The man who led off the start and did so much leading early on. Noguchi is there. 37 is Pedro Acosta. Fellon is there. Adji is there in 5th place. Billy Van Aert in 6th, ahead of Escreed. Cook, Plant, Sarko. And Philippe Ton hits, so good ride from him. So bad luck for some of our riders.
Incredibly,
good luck for the others,
yeah.
of course. That's the way it goes. And Acosta on 37.
Incredibly, 8 riders still within 1.1 seconds, so it's yeah, all to play for.
Ariati is that leads from Noguchi and Acosta. Well, 6 laps, 5.5 laps remaining now. My goodness.
Yeah.
Well, that's Acosta looking across at
yeah.
Ariati there.
Well,
did he let them go, Neil?
yeah, definitely. There was, yeah, and I can only think that's.
Oh, not another fall. My goodness, these guys, you know, and I think that's our pole man, isn't it? Isn't that Marcus Ariati, I think? Yeah, it is. Marcus Ariati, the pole man. And he'd done such a brilliant job. How did he manage that?
Oh.
What bad luck.
Yeah.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Oh, so they're heading down into the chicane, into the right under. Oh, yeah. Yeah, just tucked to front, just pushing in there. Maybe just a little bit too long in the brakes, asking a bit too much from that front Dunlop tyre.
Dear. Right.
Yeah, this is so. I've never had this many followers of any of the races all year.
Anyway, Pedro Acosta, I think he was exceeding track limits there, so he's really got to watch that on the exit of that corner. So it's Acosta back in front with Fellon, Noguchi, Van Aert up into 4th place. He's not had an enjoyable weekend so far, but he's enjoying that. And yeah, Billy Van Aert in very much in that lead battle. So is Adji, so is Escreed. Yep, Cook is in there, Max Cook is in there. So, still 4.5 laps remaining. Pedro Acosta has advantage over Fellon and Van Aert. Noguchi, Adji.
It's, yeah, the rate of attrition is incredible. It's like whoever stays on is going to be on the podium the way things are going at the moment.
And how much quicker are they lapping than they went in practice then
well, they've been into the 2s, so they've been about 4 or 5 tenths under the lap in practice, but nothing like in previous years where they've been into the 201s. Right now they're all lapping within the 203s, so they're about half a second off lap, about 2 seconds off lap record pace. But of course there has been a lot of accidents and incidents, and I'm sure that's upset the rhythm to some degree, but it looks like they've all settled down now, and Lorenzo Fellon back in the front.
But the fact that they're half a second quicker than they went in practice, that wouldn't be so different on the bike setting that's causing
not
these
at all.
accidents,
That time will come purely from slipstreaming each other down the back straight, and they easily get half a second or more on that back straight, on this back straight here, 3/4 of a kilometre long, so they will get pulled along.
Right, so Fellon on the number 5. 37 is Pedro Acosta. 56 is Noguchi, now taking up the running. 29 is Billy Van Aert. So Noguchi has the advantage out onto the start and finish, but only just. Billy Van Aert is right there. Fellon on the 5 bike up the inside, but no, that's number 11, Escreed, with that incredible inside line.
Yeah, he's tried that a few times. It's very difficult to pass there and to execute that left-hander and get through the next right-hander because you're pretty much offline. You need a wide sweeping line in there is your best option if there's space, but going tight like that makes it really difficult.
And he's done it again there, though, hasn't he? He's now in 2nd place. Touch and go with the track limits there on the number 11 at Escreed, but he's trying to work that inside line very hard. He's inside again, but now being passed instead. So it's not working for him everywhere. 29, of course, is Acosta.
And meanwhile, he's let.
Sorry, it's Van Aert.
Yeah.
Acosta's gone. Van Aert is number 29. Acosta 37 has now broken away in front. Well, that's a handy lead for Acosta.
Yeah, it certainly is. That's as big a gap as we've seen.
Yeah, and I think if anyone can make that play, he can. But Billy is there ahead of Noguchi in third place.
Well, we know Billy Van Aert can ride, and he's smaller, slighter and lighter, and he's going to be perfectly placed this time as they head through turn 15 onto the back straight, just close enough to pick up that slipstream of Acosta. You can see him getting tucked in there. He's getting his backside onto the seat, making himself as aerodynamic as possible.
And Van Aert had a pretty shaky start to the season. It was very unfortunate. He made some mistakes, but he came good because he was had a second and a third at the Red Bull Ring. Didn't have a great result in Misano, just 14th, but he's certainly there at the moment. Out onto the start and finish then. Again, 2 complete lap 12, just 3 laps remaining. And you're on board. You can see how tight it is. On board with Pedro Acosta, looking back at the 29 of Billy Van Aert. Noguchi in third place. Skrieg, Fellon, Adji, Cook 7th. Planck. But you'd think that the winner's going to come from Acosta, Van Aert, Skrieg, Noguchi and Fellon, wouldn't you? I don't... Adji's been, is you know, good, but it's a bit much to expect him to win this one, as he's not really been in the hunt for a victory so far in Rookies Cup. He's still got a bit to learn, but he's learning very quickly. He learned a lot from the race in Misano, and he's learning a lot more this afternoon.
Still only a second covering this top 7, so anything can happen. But I think the best plan would be not to be leading as they head onto the back straight on the last lap, unless you've got a decent gap.
So Van Aert closing in on Acosta. 29 is Van Aert, Acosta 37. 11 on the inside 9 is Alex Skrieg.
Billy Van Aert through there on the inside, and I wonder if Acosta just let him through there, just
because we saw Acosta let them before, didn't we?
Yeah, before. He was looking back before this corkscrew section of the track, and he let a couple of riders pass. So he's obviously confident. He's confident over a lap, and he knows that if he's leading down here, then he will get slipstream, so he can just use Billy Van Aert this time.
And do you think he wants to see where the other guys are good, to try some different lines,
I think he just doesn't. No, I think he's confident over a lap. I think he just doesn't want to be leading down the back straight and just see what happens. But he has to be careful, because if he gets slipstream, then he can easily be shuffled back. But you can see he's bolted himself onto the back of Billy Van Aert there.
Great stuff.
But yeah, it's still close. As I said, second covering this top 7.
Right, so it's the 56 of Noguchi. 37 is Acosta. 11 is Skrieg. Van Aert is 29. Max Cook at the back of that group, having a very good ride, much better than his qualifying.
Yeah, a strong ride from Max. We know he's had the pace all year. He was one rider that was frustrated in practice, so he obviously had the pace to go with all these guys. And at the back, I mean, you sometimes get a double or a triple slipstream, so he could easily grab a couple of places on the last lap.
And of course, he was on the podium at the Saxon Ring when Billy Van Aert got penalised for exceeding track limits. Just a lap and a half remaining now, so who's got a bit up their sleeve? I think really if anybody had a bit up their sleeve, they'd have already shown it, because they wouldn't want to leave it to a slipstreaming battle on the last lap. But just perhaps it's Acosta who can put the hammer down. And you know, as you said, Neil, he doesn't want to lead onto the back straight, not unless, of course, he thinks that he can open up sort of half a second advantage in the first half of the lap.
He has a gap, and that's Alex Skrieg down the inside. He likes inside lines everywhere.
Yeah, very inside, and he's made it work up into second, but can he hang on to that? He gets it turned.
Costa's not holding back this time. He really is committing through the double right there. As I head down to 15 as he flicks left here. Careful with the front tyre. Very steep downhill there off camber, so you have to be really careful on the brakes as you head in there. Gets tucked in as best he possibly can, and he knows he's coming up to the last lap. He's watched his pit board when he comes around this time. It'll say last lap on his board, and he really has to dig in. But Alex Skrieg's got other intentions.
And Noguchi's right in the slipstream there. Almost four abreast. Billy Van Aert had a look up the inside on the 29 there, but it still is Acosta. It's a Skrieg, it's Noguchi, it's Van Aert across the start and finish line to start the final lap the penultimate race of the Red Bull MotoGP Rookies Cup for 2019. Who's going to do it from here? There's 3 of them, 4 of them abreast. There's 7 in the bunch there. Anybody could do it. It's Skrieg who leads for the first time on the number 11 bike. Acosta's right on his tail. Noguchi is there. So's Billy Van Aert. Adji, Fellon and Cook.
Skrieg looks quite tentative at the front. Yeah, first time he's been leading here. And we will see now who has got anything left.
And 29 is Van Aert. He picks up second place. Acosta goes for the lead. Skrieg's back to second. Noguchi's back to fourth. And the inside line for Skrieg again doesn't actually go past Acosta, who hangs on to the advantage. Surely, as Neil said, he doesn't really want to be leading down the main straight on the last lap.
Well, he has to be careful. He might not have any option. What he needs to do is just commit, I think, and just get there as soon as he possibly can.
I think the Noguchi's just where he wants to be. Yeah. He's looked at that overtaking manoeuvre on the last corner, the last couple of laps. He's been right there and backed out of it. So he's there. But as I say that, of course, he now looks at going for the lead. No, he doesn't. He's happy there in third place. Acosta, Skrieg, Noguchi.
If I was to put my money on any of the riders, it would be Noguchi on the last lap. He's third at the moment, but he is a strong rider. He's a confident rider. He knows he's got good race strategies. He knows what he wants to do, and I think he's perfectly placed.
Okay, so this is it. This is it. The last run down the back straight, and Acosta has the advantage from Skrieg. Noguchi's there. Billy Van Aert on 29 is tucked into the slipstream as well. But Acosta just with a little bit of advantage, but it's all being negated now with the slipstream. They pull out. Who's going to do it? Yes, it is Noguchi who has the advantage, but Billy Van Aert comes inside, but he's going to drift wide. Billy Van Aert drifts wide, but Noguchi has a slide. Noguchi has a slide. Acosta's there. It's being pushed out of it. Is it going to be Billy Van Aert to win the Rookies Cup? His first Rookies Cup win for the Australian. Billy Van Aert from Noguchi, Skrieg, Acosta. Well, that was an absolutely fantastic last corner, because I think Acosta and Noguchi thought that they could win it from there. Noguchi had a slide just when it counted and he couldn't get the power on. Acosta got himself in the wrong place in the corner, and Billy Van Aert did it all perfectly.
Stayed calm, stayed out of trouble, kept himself in that leading bunch. Noguchi did have the perfect plan. Unfortunately, that little slide just cost him everything, right on the edge of the tyre at the very last corner, just when you're asking the rear tyre to grip and open the throttle, and that's what cost him the win.
So there's a confirmation of the result then. And looking further back, Lorenzo Fellon, you know, I think he'll be frustrated with 6, because I really thought he looked like a podium finisher there. Philippe Ton, excellent run to 10th place ahead of Noah Detweiler and Tyler Scott. Those guys taking advantage of the fact that some of the guys made big mistakes this afternoon. Zonta, superb to see him get back on and get a point. And Aiden Liedberg, nice to see him get a couple of points as well. But all those guys now on the screen, of course, Patelli, Mario, Clement Rouget, all fallers. And from what we saw, they all got up and walked away from that. So let's hope that they can all get a chance to start the race again tomorrow. And here is the Cup points with just a single race remaining. Of course, Tate already on his way in Moto3 and qualified third for his first Moto3 race since winning the Cup. He's had a wild card in Barcelona. But great to see him qualify third. Pedro Acosta still with second ahead of Noguchi. Cooney isn't here. Fellon du Pasquier crashed in that race, of course, as did Salvador. Van Aert has moved up into 8th place. Marcus Uriart, he was another faller. Alex Skrieg was third there, now up into 11th place. Barry Baltus, unfortunately, a faller with Salvador. And they are the guys towards the back of the field. Huertas isn't here. He's still got an arm injury, a broken arm from a non-Rookies Cup accident. He was training. He's had a couple of injuries this year outside of Rookies Cup, and very, very unlucky year for him. And the trophies awarded this afternoon by Xavi Larios. He's the head of the Rookies Cup technical staff, does an absolutely phenomenal job, as does Roma Lopez, who's now awarding the trophy to Noguchi. These guys work so hard and do absolutely everything to make sure these young riders have the best possible chance with the KTM RC 250Rs. And they really believe in these guys, put absolutely everything into it, and give them a fantastic push on their careers towards the World Championship.